The primary subject of this video will be Iran. Before I get to that, I just want to mention that I published a new post yesterday discussing my stock, corporate bond, and treasury bill purchases over the past several days. In that post, I also discussed recent economic data that is consistent with an ongoing economic slowdown in the United States. U.S. stocks, as reflected in the S&P 500 index, assign a near 0% chance, in my opinion, of a stagflation scenario developing and a 0% chance of stagflation with recessionary economic conditions. I view those assessments as excessively optimistic based on the data that I've reviewed and the likely negative economic impacts flowing from the U.S. tariffs and mass deportations of undocumented immigrants who are U.S. consumers, even though they are not U.S. citizens, and who perform jobs that are critical in the supply chain, particularly in agricultural, meat processing plants, and building related trades. Now to what is happening in Iran. The religious fanatics that have controlled Iran since the overthrow of the Shah have not pursued policies that benefit the Iranian people, never have, and probably never will as long as they remain in control. They are similar in that respect to authoritarian leaders in other countries like Russia and North Korea. Death to America and death to Israel are not foreign policies designed to benefit Iranian citizens, nor is providing financial and military aid to terrorist organizations. Those policies not only will not benefit the Iranian people, and they have not benefited them, they have proven to be harmful to the Palestinians. Iranian government policies have clearly been of no benefit to the Iranian people, but only have deprived them of financial resources that could have been used internally to improve the economy and the welfare of Iranian citizens. In addition, the policies pursued by the Iranian government have isolated that country from virtually every nation in the world, including those in the Middle East. And the death to Israel policy, often repeated by the government of Iran, has resulted in Israel engaging in what it considers to be a justified preventive war, which may or may not be successful in stopping Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons and the delivery systems for them. If Iran still has enrichment facilities in operation that Israel is unable to destroy for whatever reason, including their location deep underground, or some may even be in unknown locations, the Israeli attacks could cause the leadership in Iran to accelerate the development of nuclear weapons and a foreign policy based on nuclear deterrence and mutually assured destruction. Nobody is going to attack anything in North Korea which has nuclear weapons unless that country uses them. And that lesson is probably not lost on the Iranian government leaders. Will the U.S. use its stealth bombers and 30,000-pound bombs to finish the job that Israel started? A clear declaration of war by the United States, whose outcome and repercussions are just not knowable. All that is known now for certain is that an impulsive and elderly U.S. president is threatening to attack Iran, has advised Iranian citizens to leave their capital for their own safety, and has given the Iranian government something that he calls an ultimate ultimatum. And Iran is controlled by an elderly religious zealot, and that is a dangerous mix when added to Trump's proclivities, We know that Trump is guided by the likes of Pete Hegseth, Tulsi Gabbard, and Steve Witkoff, a real estate buddy who is leading the negotiations, the U.S. negotiations with Iran and Russia. But the most influential advisors for Trump are probably the Fox News personalities. So conditions are ripe for U.S. Intervention militarily to take out the currently known enrichment facilities that are located deep underground. Trump says he has not made a decision whether to do that or not. What will happen if that happens? What the repercussions will be are simply not knowable. It is not like the U.S. has a good track record predicting the outcome of its military intervention since the Korean War. There is certainly a possible retaliation by Iran against U.S. military facilities in the Middle East. And that, what will the U.S. do when that happens? If it happens, U.S. will retaliate with military force, of course. And then where does it go from there? Another possible outcome would be for suicide bombers on U.S. soil attacking U.S. civilian targets, mass gatherings. It could be a church, it could be a concert, or just about anything where people are congregated together. I wouldn't rule that out, even though it is certainly a possible outcome from attacking Iran now. Some of these attackers may already be present on U.S. soil. It is a very difficult thing for our society to defend against, and that is one reason why Iran might pursue that policy as a means to attack the U.S. And then what will the U.S. do? Will we invade Iran? That's a possibility. And Iran may have already moved its enriched uranium to other facilities that are unknown to the U.S. and Israel, with a determination now to build nuclear weapons or to use nuclear material, like in a dirty bomb, or small tactical nuclear weapons that may be used in the future. I am certain that I cannot do anything or control what will happen in the Middle East, and none of us are God. We cannot predict what will happen in the future, particularly if the U.S. becomes militarily involved in Iran. I can only control my investment decisions, is something I've said in the past, and my reaction to what is happening now is to not take additional risk, but to wait and see what happens. I've been thinking about selling some gold into the rally, but have put that on hold because it's possible that gold may become an asset of choice for many investors based on future developments. I would note that the Iraq invasion started out well, but ultimately resulted in hundreds of thousands losing their lives, instability throughout the Middle East, the expenditure of what is currently estimated to be over 3 trillion. I wish it was 3,000 in U.S. government borrowed money, and death and lifelong injuries, both mental and physical, to U.S. soldiers. I will leave a link in the more section below about the estimate of the ultimate monetary cost resulting from the U.S. invasion of Iraq. It is not like most U.S. citizens will ever learn lessons from the Vietnam and the Iraq wars, or what would likely happen in Afghanistan as soon as the U.S. military pulled out, which was the same result that actually happened in Vietnam. We could have stayed in Afghanistan for another 20 or 30 years, same for Vietnam, and the same result would have happened. Consequently, while majority of citizens who lack power in the U.S. do learn from these past mistakes, the majority do not, in my opinion. They either fail to recognize them as mistakes when living through them, which is very common, or they fail to learn about the mistakes in the more distant past. Ignorance about the past is pervasive. The statement from George Santayana that those who cannot remember the past are doomed to repeat it comes to mind. And I would add something that may even be more important observation. Far too many live through history and draw the wrong conclusions, which contributes to repeating the same mistakes over and over and over again until the end of days.